Hey guys, I'm back, and before I do the review, I need to give you a quick update. Clocktober 3, I'm sorry, is still being suspended. There have been problems lately. We did try to do recording not too long ago, and when we did the recording though, when we tried to move the images and move the video back onto the computer, something happened. Like, Pinnacle Studio just froze and it just acted crazy, and I lost half of the stuff we recorded, and I lost half of what we recorded, and I lost all the audio. So unfortunately, I had to recently play through the game all the way again up until the point where we had to start. And so what we need, since I've replayed it up to that far, I just need to somehow get us back on cue and try to record again. But I'm sorry, seriously, all I did was just unplug the microphone from Audacity, and as soon as that did, hell just broke loose. I don't know how it happened. I don't know really what happened, but I did have to replay the game, and I got myself caught back up. If things look a little bit inconsistent, it's probably because I have different items or got more items or something. But basically, I pretty much replayed it all the way the same way, pretty much. But that's just a quick update, and that's not what this is about. I am reviewing Dead Island. I had just beaten it, I would say about 5 days ago. So it's been around for a while, I know, but I usually try to review the game as soon as I basically beat it, just so that's kind of fresh in my mind, and I can sort of remember the things that happened in the game. First of all, I bet some of you are wondering, why aren't you showing gaming footage? Well, if you probably have noticed, I guess you can look, I'm not quite sure which direction, but there are ads now on my pages, and therefore I can't really show gaming footage. It's all in the experimental phase. Once I start to experiment with it a little bit, I'll start maybe trying to show gaming footage for reviews, but I basically want videos that I can monetize. I'm not monetizing any of my playthroughs just because I don't want to risk it. I'm still trying to experiment, but I've recently been invited to do it, so that's why there's no gaming footage for most of these reviews. So anyway, yes, Dead Island. I don't know where to start with this game. I was very optimistic when I first put it in and started playing, and I'm sure many of you too were when you first got it, simply because of the big viral video trailer that helped promote the game when it was about 2 months before it came out. And if none of you have seen the trailer, please look for it on YouTube and watch it. Just Dead Island trailer. It's one of the most profound trailers for anything that you'll ever see, at least in my opinion. Again, this isn't like a review of the trailer, it's a review of the game, but it's a really good trailer, and if they gave awards out to trailers, I'm sure it would win like the best one or something out there. It is really something to behold. But unfortunately, if you have seen the trailer, the game is not really quite like it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Dead Island kind of sets a whole new tone of its own, in a sense, for what kind of genre it falls under. It's an RPG, it plays very similar, and many people have made this analogy to it. It's Fallout or Oblivion with zombies. You have a huge, massive world, or several sections of massive worlds, I should say. We'll get to that in a second. But as you roam around and complete quests, there's zombies everywhere. I mean, they are roaming everywhere. There's tons of them. They can swarm you and attack you and kill you in seconds. I mean, that'll come later after we talk about a little bit more about gameplay and stuff, but it's essentially a huge, massive world where you do quests, and there's zombies around. When I say that it's like Fallout, essentially there is a main quest, and there's a bunch of side missions. The main quest alone, if you do it, I would say would take you in the neighborhood of like 20 hours. If you did everything, including the main mission and the side quest, you're about almost doubling your time, I would say. The quests are kind of most part uneventful and stupid and unpractical, like most quests are for some of these types of games. Like, one of the first things you do is you go and try to collect alcohol for a guy. I mean, seriously, some of them are that benign. I guess to start out, let's talk about the gameplay mechanics. Let's talk about combat. Let's start there. It's probably the most unique form of combat I've kind of seen on a game, and if you do some of the research behind this game, you'll understand why. Basically, whenever you're fighting zombies, there's a new form of technology they have where basically as you can actually cause damage to human flesh and human skin. So like for example, if you're attacking a zombie with like a crowbar and you hit them in the shoulder, well, the technology is sensitive enough to have damage be seen on the shoulder. So like you could actually take like a knife or something and keep hitting a zombie's arm, and it'll start to dig deeper and deeper and deeper until there's the skin's gone, and there's muscle, and there's tissue, and then there's bone, and then finally you can just slice it straight through. It's pretty fun in that regard when you're like trying to fight a bunch of zombies and you have some unique weaponry with you, and it's interesting to see some of the kills that you can do with a lot of your weapons. You'll have a lot of decapitation, you'll have a lot of cutting off limbs, you'll have a lot of explosions and people catching on fire and stuff like that. It can be fun in that regard. To add on to the combat, it will become the weaponry, and kind of like, I want to say, was it Dead Rising? I'm not sure, another kind of zombie kind of game where you can like customize your weapons and you can make unique creations that'll deal with the zombies in cool and effective ways. Like one of the basic examples is like you can get a machete, and once you get the blueprint for it, you can I think it's called the shock mod. You can put a battery onto any weapon, and every time you hit a zombie with it, you have a small % chance of electrocuting them. So that's just one example. Others can include like flaming sticks, stuff that can do poison damage, bullets that can cause shock damage. So like if you have a gun, you shoot someone, it can electrocute them. So that's kind of fun. I guess we can talk about maybe just some of the other gameplay aspects, not necessarily combat, but just things like roaming and like the world, the concept, and the graphics and the AI, the artificial intelligence and stuff like that. The stuff they do with the zombies is, the artificial intelligence for the zombies is really good. It's really convincing. Some of it does seem kind of repetitive, like where you can anticipate the way a zombie is going to behave. But it's good in the regard that zombies will once they see you, they will follow you, and there's really no way you can avoid them unless you can outrun them. And there's even some that you can't even outrun. There's like several different species of zombies, and one of them I think is called the infected. And those are one of the few zombies that can actually sprint and run at you. I mean, that can be one of the most intimidating things when you're just walking casually down the street, and then all of a sudden there's like this infected zombie that's chasing after you, and you don't ever even expect zombies to be able to run, much less run really, really fast. So there's things like that. I kind of like the classification of the zombies. There's not a whole lot of classification of the zombies in general, just because you can't really classify zombies or humans, much less, but that's just an example. The exploration is an open world, to say the least, but it's different. There's like different stages, but like the first place you start is the resort. You start in like this resort type area with like some bungalows and like the beach and a hotel and stuff like that. You stay there for a while, but the actual places you can explore are limited. But there's several of them. There's actually 3 locations, or maybe like 5 or something like that. But they do have a definite boundary, and the only way you can get out of them is to use some of the fast travel little marks that are on the map, or you can take a boat or a car or stuff like that. It's not completely a massive world, but it does it kind of like in stages, if I can explain it any better. The graphics, truth is, the graphics, some people were like marveled with the graphics. It's a beautiful game. Some of the background and the small things like the wind blowing and some of the small sound effects and some of those little material things, they're really good. But on the whole, the graphics are just pretty normal. In fact, the graphics I kind of expected when I first like played some of these next generation video game consoles. Like, it reminded me of Perfect Dark from Xbox 360. I don't know if any of y'all played that, but it reminded me of that a lot. Like some of the textures, like some of the lighting was just full blown contrasting. Like, I mean, it was odd. It was an odd arrangement of colors and lighting. It was good graphics with good textures and stuff, but it was done in a kind of odd way. Deep Silver, Techland, I mean, I don't know of many games that they've made. I don't even know who they are. This may be one of the first games they made, so there's probably not that amazing amount of detail in the graphics. They seem pretty normal to me. Some people have been praising the graphics. They seem kind of normal to me, but that's just me.